Welcome you all again. In this topic now we will be dealing with the rules of exclusion. The rules of exclusion with regard to the period of limitation provided under sections 6 to 11 of the Limitation Act. So coming to section 6 of the Limitation Act. Section 6 of the Limitation Act provides that if a person is under a disability, for example, if a person is a minor, or if he is an insane person, or if he is an idiot, as on the date of limitation or during the period of limitation, what would be the consequence? Whether such person can file a suit after his legal disability has come to an end, that is, a minor becoming major, or when the person ceased to be an insane or an idiot, whether he can file his suit to enforce his right after this legal disability. Coming to that, section 6 provides that such persons can institute or file an application, institute a suit or file an application within the same period after the disability has ceased. So, the law of limitation permits that person to file it after the disability has come to an end. Then what would happen if a person is having more than one of such legal disability? In such case, he can institute the suit within the same period after both the disabilities have ceased. And if the disability continues up to the death of that person, for example, a minor who had a right, if he is no more before he attained majority, or if an insane person, he continues to be insane or he continues to be an idiot till the end of his life, what would happen with regard to his right? In such cases, the legal representative of such person can institute the suit or he can file an application within the same period of limitation after his death. So that is the principle which has been provided under section 6 of the Limitation Act. But what would happen if the person has died after his disability has ceased, but within the extended period? For example, in the case which I have told you, ഒരാൾ മൈനറായിരിക്കുന്നു. ആ മൈനറായ ആൾക്ക് ഒരു കോസ് ഓഫ് ആക്ഷൻ ഉണ്ടായി, പക്ഷേ മൈനറായിരിക്കുന്ന ആ ലീഗൽ ഡിസബിലിറ്റി ഉള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് ആ കേസ് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിച്ചില്ല. അദ്ദേഹം മൈനോറിറ്റിയിൽ തന്നെ മരിക്കുകയാണ് എങ്കിൽ അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ലീഗൽ റെപ്രസെൻറ്റേറ്റീവിനെ ഇദ്ദേഹം മരിച്ച തീയതി മുതൽ ആ ലിമിറ്റേഷനകത്തുള്ള സമയത്തിനകം കേസ് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിക്കും എന്നാണ് ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ആക്ടിൽ പറയുന്നത്. ദെൻ അസ്യൂം ദാറ്റ് he is no more after the commencement of the period of limitation, but before the expiry of that period. ഇയാൾ മരിച്ച് 3 വർഷത്തിനകം, അല്ല, ഇയാൾ മേജറായി, ഈ മൈനർ മേജറായി 3 വർഷത്തിനകമാണ് ഈ മൈനർ മരിച്ചു പോകുന്നത്. Then what will be the rule? So he dies after his disability has ceased. 18 വയസ്സ് കഴിഞ്ഞ് മേജറായി. But before he attains the age of 21 years, the extended period, he succumbed to or to his death. He dies after that. In such cases, the legal representative of such person can institute this application within the same period after his death. അയാൾ മരിച്ചില്ലായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ അയാൾക്ക് എന്ന് വരെ സമയം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, ആ സമയത്തിനകം ഈ സൂട്ട് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യേണ്ടതാണ്. ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ആരംഭിച്ചതിന് ശേഷമാണ് ഇദ്ദേഹം മരിക്കുന്നത്, പക്ഷേ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ പീരീഡ് എക്സ്പയർ ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് മുൻപാണ്, കാലാവധി കഴിയുന്നതിന് മുൻപാണ് ഇദ്ദേഹം മരിക്കുന്നത് എങ്കിൽ എന്നായിരുന്നു ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ കാലാവധി കഴിയുന്നത്, അതിനകം the legal representative can file the suit. And coming to section 7 of the act, section 7 of the act envisages a situation where there are more than one plaintiffs in the suit, or the cause of action or the right is vested in more than one person, and they should jointly institute the suit also. In such cases, or they could file an application for execution only jointly. And in circumstances, the discharge of the minor person or the lunatic, the insane person or the idiotic person, that he cannot be discharged also. If a discharge cannot be given without the concurrence of that party, the nature of the suit is like that. ഇദ്ദേഹമില്ലാതെ ആ സൂട്ട് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിക്കില്ല. ഇദ്ദേഹത്തെ ഡിസ്ചാർജ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് സൂട്ട് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിക്കില്ല. In such cases, the disability time that will not run against any of them. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഡിസബിലിറ്റി ഒരാൾ മൈനറായിരിക്കുക, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരാൾ ലുണാറ്റിക്കോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരാൾ ഇഡിയറ്റോ ആയിരിക്കും, അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ചേർക്കാതെ ഈ കേസ് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിക്കില്ലായിരുന്നു എങ്കിൽ, അവർക്ക് ജോയിൻ്റായി മാത്രമാണ് ആ കേസ് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിക്കുമായിരുന്നുള്ളൂ എങ്കിൽ, ഇൻ സച്ച് കേസസ് ദ ടൈം വിൽ നോട്ട് റൺ അഗെയിൻസ്റ്റ് എനി ഓഫ് ദം. അവർക്ക് ആർക്കും എതിരെ പറ്റില്ല. ദേ ക്യാൻ ഫയൽ ദ സൂട്ട് ആഫ്റ്റർ the disability of that particular person has ceased. And in such cases, the period of liability or the period of limitation will have to be computed from the date on which the disability has ceased. എന്നാണോ ആ ഡിസബിലിറ്റി അവസാനിക്കുന്നത് അന്ന് മുതലുള്ള സമയത്തെ ആ ലിമിറ്റേഷനിലേക്ക് കണക്കാക്കാൻ സാധിക്കും. ആൻഡ് that will be applicable with regard to all the principles which we were discussed under section 6 also. So a minor is a person who has not attained the age of majority as provided under the Majority Act. And this protection which has been given, that is available only to that minor or a person who is having that disability, and it will not be extended to the assignees of that person. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൽ നിന്ന് വേറെ ആർക്കെങ്കിലും റൈറ്റ് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ that will not be applicable for that person. It is applicable only with regard to that particular person who is affected with that particular disability. It was so held by the High Court of Kerala in Kochu Muhammad versus Jacob. Kochu Muhammad versus Jacob, 1963, KLJ, Kerala Law Journal, 560. And coming to the aspect of insanity or idiocy, section 6 protect an insane person or a lunatic person also. And if the insanity is once proved to have existed, the presumption will be that it will continue till it is proved that the insanity has ceased. So if that person who is if it could be proved that a person was insane at a particular point of time, the presumption will be that insanity continues till a period when it is proved that he was not insane. And certain special exceptions are provided under section 8 of the Act. And section 8 of the Act provides that the provisions contained under section 6 and 7 with regard to the legal disability which we have just now discussed, that will not apply to the suit to enforce certain preemption rights. And the period of limitation for a suit or an application will be deemed to extend only for a period of 3 years. For example, as I have told you, the period of limitation with regard to a suit for possession, recovery of possession of an immovable property, the period of limitation is 12 years. And in such cases, the minor, after attaining majority, he will not get up to that 12 years, but it will be limited for a period of 3 years. So if a person want to file a suit with regard to an immovable property, and if the right has accrued to him when he was a minor, say when he was at the age of 16 years, sorry, when he was at the age of say 5 years, he attains majority, the right accrued when he was at the age of 5 years. So naturally, the period of limitation would have ceased when he attained the age of 17 years. But at that time, he was a minor. And he becomes a major at the age of 18 years. But from that time, he will not be entitled for a period of 12 years. അതായത് 30 വയസ്സാകുന്നതിന് അയാൾ ഫയൽ ചെയ്താൽ പോരാ. He should file it within a period of 3 years after attaining maturity. 21 വയസ്സാകുന്നതിന് മുമ്പായി തന്നെ he should have filed the suit as provided under section 8 of the act. And this section 6, 7 and 8 of the act, they are to be read together. And the provisions which the facilities which are granted, the exemptions which are granted under section 6 and 7, it is limited by the provisions contained under section 8. That is, the person should file the suit or the application within a period of 3 years after he attains or after the legal disability has ceased. He will not get the extended period of 12 years in cases where the period of limitation is 12 years. And that aspect was considered by the Supreme Court, was considered by the Supreme Court in Darshan Singh versus Gurudev Singh. Darshan Singh versus Gurudev Singh, year 1995, Supreme Court 75. Year 1995, Supreme Court 75. And in this case, it was held that the period of limitation as provided under Article 65 in that particular case, that has expired when the plaintiff in the suit was 16 years of age. And consequently, he ought to have filed the suit within 3 years of his attaining majority. Otherwise, his suit will be barred. So, if the period of limitation has ceased when he attained the age of 16 years, as almost similar to the example which I have told, then he will not get another 12 years. But after attaining majority, but he will get only a period of 3 years as provided under section 8 of the Act. And now, with regard to the continuous running of time, how this time will be calculated, that is provided under section 9 of the Act. Section 9 of the Act provides with the continuous running of time. And section 9 provides that it's a doctrine of continuous running of time. Section 9 of the Limitation Act deals with that also. Section 9 provides that once the time has begun to run, the subsequent disability or inability to institute a suit or to make an application could not stop it. It could not be stopped. So as I had told you, if the disability has ceased or if the time limit has begun to run, then he will not be entitled for the extension of period of limitation. In state of Punjab versus Surjit Kaur, state of Punjab versus Surjit Kaur, year 2002, Punjab and Haryana 68. State of Punjab versus Surjit Kaur, year 2002, Punjab and Haryana 68. In this case, it was observed that section 9 of the Limitation Act enumerates a very important principle with regard to the law of limitation. That is, if once the period, the time has begun to run, any disability which arises subsequent to that could stop it. And therefore, an intervening disability after the period has begun to run could not be availed under the provisions of section 9. And If there was a disability at the time of the period of limitation, he can file the suit in accordance with the principles which are laid down under sections 6, 7 and 8. And with regard to suits against the trustees or representatives. With regard to suits against trustees or representatives, Section 10 provides that Section 10 of the Section 10 provides that no suit against a person in whom a property has become a vested interest shall be barred by any length of time. So if a person, if a suit is to be filed against a person who is holding a property as a trustee, in such cases, there is no period of limitation. As far as he continues to be in possession of the trust property, the suit can be filed against him. So with regard to a suit which is against a person who is holding a property in trust. In the Madras High Court, the Madras High Court in Abdor Rarim, ABDOR, Abdor Rarim versus Narayan Das. Abdor Rarim versus Narayan Das. In this case, the Madras High Court has held that AIR 1978 Madras 210. AIR 1978 Madras 210. In this case, the Madras High Court has held that the beneficiary, the suit, if a suit is to be filed by a beneficiary against the trustee for the enforcement of his beneficial right, it will not be barred by the law of limitation. Again, in another case, that is in Setu versus Subramania. Setu versus Subramania, it's a decision of 1888. In that case, it was held that if a suit is being filed by the present manager of a Hindu temple, if a suit is filed by a present manager of a Hindu temple against the former manager, for recovery of amounts, which was misappropriated by the later, while he was holding the office as the manager, it would fall under Section 10, because at that time he was holding the property of the temple, being in the position of a trustee, and so itself Section 10 will be applicable, and it will not be hit by the laws of limitation. Then what would happen if the suit is based upon a contract which is entered outside the territories of India? With regard to this, the original position or the words which are used in the statute is suits or contracts, suits based on contracts entered into outside the territories to which this act extends. Originally, as we all know, that this limitation act that was not applicable with regard to the provinces of Jammu and Kashmir up to 2019. And now it is applicable with regard to state of Jammu and Kashmir also, by way of the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019. Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019. Now the Limitation Act is applicable to the territories of Jammu and Kashmir. So now this provision, the provision contained under Section 11, that is applicable only with regard to the contracts which are entered into outside the territory of India. So what will be the effect? Which law of limitation? Whether the law of limitation, if the suit is being filed in India, which law of limitation will be applicable? Whether it will be the Limitation Act of India, or whether it will be the law of limitation which prevails in the country where the contract has been entered into, which of the two is applicable? Going through Section 11, even though the contract has been entered into a foreign country, Section 11 provides that even if the contract is entered into a foreign country, if the suit is filed in a court within the territorial limits of India, then the rules laid down under the Limitation Act 1963 will be applicable to such suits. And it further provides that the rule of limitation in force in the foreign country where the contract was entered into shall be a defense in such cases. So, for the purpose of filing the suit, Section 11 provides that it's the law of limitation which is applicable in India shall be the base. But the law of limitation applicable in the other country, that can be taken as a defense. If a period of limitation is a shorter period, and if the suit has been filed after the period of limitation as in the country where the contract has been entered, that could be taken as a defense. Unless that can be taken as a defense unless the rule which prevails in the foreign country, the law of limitation which prevails in the foreign country, the law which prevails, not the rule of limitation, the law which prevails in the foreign country has extinguished the contract. So, if the contract has extinguished by virtue of any law which prevails in that country, that can be taken as a defense, saying that now this contract has been extinguished as per the laws of the country where the contract has been entered into. And secondly, the parties to the suit, as a plaintiff and the defendant, they were domiciled in that country, in that foreign country. Only if these two conditions are fulfilled, that is, the parties to the suit, they were domiciled in that foreign country. Along with that, according to the law which prevails in the foreign country, the contract has extinguished. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു വിദേശ രാജ്യത്ത് വെച്ച് ആണ് ഒരു കോൺട്രാക്റ്റ് എൻറ്റർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. ആ കോൺട്രാക്റ്റിൻ്റെ ബേസിൽ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ഒരു സൂട്ട് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യും. അങ്ങനെ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ആ സൂട്ട് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ആ വിദേശ രാജ്യത്തെ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ പീരീഡ് ആണോ ഇന്ത്യയിലെ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ പീരീഡ് ആണോ ആപ്ലിക്കബിൾ ആവുക എന്നൊരു ചോദ്യത്തിനുള്ള ഉത്തരമാണ് സെക്ഷൻ 11 പറയുന്നത്. സെക്ഷൻ 11 പറയുന്നത് സൂട്ട് ഫയൽ ചെയ്യുന്ന കാര്യത്തിൽ ദ ലോ ഓഫ് ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ആപ്ലിക്കബിൾ ഇൻ ഇന്ത്യ ഈസ് ടു ബി ഫോളോഡ്. ഫോർ ദ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ ഓഫ് ദ സൂട്ട് ദ ലോ ഓഫ് ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ഇൻ ഇന്ത്യ ഈസ് ടു ബി ഫോളോഡ്. ബട്ട് ഇഫ് ബൈ വെർച്യൂ ഓഫ് എനി ലോ വിച്ച് പ്രിവൈൽസ് ഇൻ ദാറ്റ് കൺട്രി, അവിടെ ആ രാജ്യത്തെ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു നിയമപ്രകാരം ഈ തർക്കത്തിലുള്ള കോൺട്രാക്റ്റ് എക്സ്റ്റിങ്ക്വിഷ്ഡ് ആയി ഇല്ലാതായി പോയിട്ടുണ്ട് എങ്കിൽ that can be taken as a defense. Along with that, one other condition also. അത് മാത്രം പോരാ, അതിനോടൊപ്പം it should be proved that the parties to the suit, വാദിയും പ്രതിയും, they were domiciled in that country. അവർ ആ രാജ്യത്ത് ആയിരുന്നു, ഈ കരാർ കാലാവധിയിൽ ആ രാജ്യത്തായിരുന്നു ഡൊമിസിൽ ചെയ്തിരുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളത് കൂടി പ്രൂവ് ചെയ്താൽ മാത്രമേ that benefit can be obtained. Otherwise, the law of limitation under the Limitation Act 1963 will be applicable with regard to a suit which is filed within the territory of India. And with regard to this, the Law Commission has also given certain recommendations to the effect that the law which prevails in the country where the contract has to be was entered into should be applicable, etc. The civil law countries, they consider that the law of limitation is a substantive law, but the common law countries, they consider the law of limitation only as a procedural law. But however, having regard to the position which has been taken by the civil law countries, now almost all the common law countries also have adopted a view that this law of limitation, that is a substantive law, and so itself the law which is applicable in the nation where the contract has been entered into would be applicable. അപ്പോൾ ലോ ഓഫ് ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ പ്രൊസീജിയറൽ ലോ ആണോ അതോ സബ്സ്റ്റാൻറ്റീവ് ലോ ആണോ എന്നുള്ളതിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് സിവിൽ ലോ കൺട്രീസ്, സിവിൽ ലോ ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുന്ന രാജ്യങ്ങൾ, ദേ ടേക്ക് എ വ്യൂ ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്സ് എ സബ്സ്റ്റാൻറ്റീവ് ലോ. ബട്ട് ദ കോമൺ ലോ കൺട്രീസിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഇത് ദിസ് ഈസ് ഓൺലി എ പ്രൊസീജിയറൽ ലോ എന്നുള്ളതായിരുന്നു. But many of the common law countries like US and Canada, etc., they have now adopted a view that the law of limitation, that is a substantive law having regard to the position taken by the civil law countries. And so now the Law Commission also in India also has made certain proposal to consider it as a substantive law and to amend the Limitation Act, amend Section 11 of the Limitation Act, so as to provide that the law of limitation which is applicable in that country will have to be followed. ഇവിടെ ഒരു ചോദ്യം ഇതേയുള്ളൂ. ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ആക്ട് പ്രൊസീജിയറൽ ലോ ആണ് എന്ന് നമ്മൾ സമ്മതിക്കുന്ന സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ പ്രൊസീജിയറൽ ലോ ആണെങ്കിൽ ഇവിടെയുള്ള പ്രൊസീജിയർ എന്താണോ അതായിരിക്കും ഫോളോ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. ബട്ട് വൺസ് വി അക്സെപ്റ്റ് ദറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്സ് എ സബ്സ്റ്റാൻറ്റീവ് ലോ, ദെൻ ദ ലോ which prevails in that country where the contract has been entered into will have to be applied. That's a principle of private international law also. And that position was examined as early as in 1880, 1880. In 1880, in Nallathambi Mudaliyar versus Ponnusami Pillai. Nallathambi Mudaliyar versus Ponnusami Pillai. And it was held that if only the remedy is barred by the foreign law, അവിടെ റെമഡി ബാർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ ആ വിദേശ രാജ്യത്ത് റെമഡി ബാർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ if only the remedy is barred, റെമഡി മാത്രമേ ബാർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളൂ. ബട്ട് ഇഫ് ദ റൈറ്റ് എക്സിസ്റ്റ്, നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ഇംപെർഫെക്റ്റ് റൈറ്റായിട്ട് ആ റൈറ്റ് വിദേശ രാജ്യത്ത് നിലനിൽക്കുന്നു എങ്കിൽ, ഇഫ് ദ റൈറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് എക്സ്റ്റിങ്ക്വിഷ്ഡ്, എ സ്യൂട്ട് ക്യാൻ ബി ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂട്ടഡ് ഇൻ എ കോർട്ട് ഇൻ ഇന്ത്യ പ്രൊവൈഡഡ് ദ പീരീഡ് ഓഫ് ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ആസ് പെർ ദ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ലോ ഇൻ ഇന്ത്യ ഹാസ് നോട്ട് എക്സോസ്റ്റഡ്. അവിടെ റെമഡി ഇല്ലാതായി, പക്ഷേ റൈറ്റ് അവിടെ നിലനിൽക്കുന്നു എങ്കിൽ, റൈറ്റ് എക്സ്റ്റിങ്ക്വിഷ് ചെയ്യാതെ വിദേശ രാജ്യത്ത് നിലനിൽക്കുന്നു എങ്കിൽ, പക്ഷേ അവിടെ റെമഡി കോടതിയിൽ മൂവ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഇഫ് ദ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ അലോൺ ഈസ് ബാർഡ്. ബട്ട് ഇഫ് ദ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ഈസ് നോട്ട് ബാർഡ് ബൈ വെർച്യൂ ഓഫ് ദ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ആക്ട് ഇൻ ഇന്ത്യ, then the party is entitled to seek his relief in India. But if the right itself has extinguished as per the laws of that nation, then the party is not entitled to file a suit in India having regard to the provisions of section 11 of the act. So that is with regard to sections 6 to 11 of the Limitation Act. And now we will have to move on to the computation of period of limitation provided under sections 12 to 24 of the Act. That we will have, that will be dealt with in the next lecture. Thank you.